Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I really hope you're doing okay and having a great day and an amazing week. My name is Effie and today we're doing a re-review. It has been a while since I've filmed one of these, so please don't judge me based off this video. But basically a re-review is where I take all of the products that I tested on my channel this time last year, so in April of last year, and I put most of them back on my face. I haven't put them all on my face. And I let you know how I feel about them a year on, how much I've used them, and the main question is, if I were to lose all of my makeup, which is behind me, if it all went away, would I repurchase this particular product to start building up my collection again? And the two videos we are focusing on from last year is the testing Colourpop and testing Rimmel. So we have a mixture of those two brands on my face right now. And yeah, all my opinions on the products will be in this video and everything will be listed in the description box. It is almost a full face. I'm pretty sure the only products I didn't use from those two brands is my powder and my eye primer, which is pretty good going for me. If you would like me to do a video going through all the products from January, February and March last year, because I skipped those months because I wasn't filming, let me know. I might just film it anyway. I won't be putting them on my face, it'll just be a really quick rundown of my opinion on the products. But let me know if that's interesting to you. I don't know. Let me know what you think of the look. I actually quite like it. Lips and eyes don't match. They never do on this channel because I'm bad at doing that. But let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. I put up one video a week and it's always makeup content, so if that sounds like the type of thing, then this is the place for you. But other than that, enjoy the video. I've took the headband in. I've already primed my eyes because I didn't use an eye primer this time last year. I didn't test one at least. And I have two eyeshadow palettes to talk about. First of all, this one, because I'm probably not going to use it as much, is the Rimmel Spice Edition. It looks like this. Honestly, I don't think I've used this since I tested it. If you watch my videos, you'll know that I'm not really a neutral sort of person, only in work, and when I do neutral tones in work I have other palettes that I reach for. This is a nice enough palette and I might just use like this second shade to set my lid really quickly. It's a nice enough palette. It's not my favourite, it's not the best. I can't remember how much it was, but I wouldn't recommend this product. I have just set my eyes with that second shade. It's a nice enough palette. It's just, I think with these videos, from what I remember from doing one so long ago, is that I always say at the end, would I repurchase it if I lost all of my makeup? And honestly, I wouldn't repurchase this palette if I lost all my makeup. I have other neutral palettes that I prefer, and this just doesn't do it for me. I will just swatch a few shades. If we swatch like this one, a shimmer, and like a dark colour, you can see that they work fine. I think with this palette, it's partially that it just doesn't go deep enough for my liking. Like that dark shade I've just swatched there is actually a dark purple. I don't need a dark purple typically when I'm doing neutral eye looks. So yeah, this palette is absolutely fine. The shimmers aren't my favourite. Most shimmers aren't my favourite. I'm very picky when it comes to shimmer shades, and this one just doesn't do it for me. Sorry Rimmel. I will get on to more products that I do like from them, but this isn't one of them. The eyeshadow palette I am going to use is the Colourpop High Tide palette. It is one of their 9-pan palettes. It's got like a bluey green sort of colour to it. I'm just going to do a really simple smoky eye with one of the shimmers on my lid, but we'll do that and I'll talk about it. So I went for a very standard smoky eye. I started with the palest sort of bluey green sort of shade, which is called Currants. It goes on really nicely. Colourpop eyeshadows do work really well. They're very pigmented, they blend nicely, they go on the eyes really nicely. I can't remember if they work better with a wet or a dry base, so I'm sorry I'm not really testing that today. I've gone in with a dry base because I set it with that shade from the Rimmel palette. I then went in with sort of like the middle dark shade, which is called New Wave. I wanted to keep it a bit more greeny blue instead of just straight up blue. And then the final matte shade I went in with is the darkest, called Luna. That darkest shade is so powdery. It's left loads of kickback in the pan. It's given me a little bit fallout on my face, but it did pack on really nicely considering it's a dark blue and dark blues don't always work the best. It did pack on well. It's not the best shade I've ever used to put all over my lid, but I knew it didn't matter because I was going in with a shimmer anyway. The shimmer shades I've gone in with is Must See, which is the middle shade in the palette, and then a little bit of Free Floating just to lighten it up in the centre a little bit. I actually really like this look. In terms of reaching for the palette, it's obviously not an everyday palette for me. As much as I would love to wear these sorts of shades every day, they're not really work appropriate, but I do really like this palette. It does work nicely. I have used it maybe once or twice since the testing video, and that's really enough for me for a palette like this. I have loads of eyeshadow palettes. I can pick and choose whichever one I want, so getting 3 or 4 uses out of it in a year is pretty good. Would I repurchase it if I lost all of my collection? Yeah. I don't have another palette like this. Unless it's a big rainbow palette, these shades aren't really that common. I don't have them in many palettes at all. Even when I have blue palette or green palettes, none of them really hit this perfect middle ground that I really like. And overall, I actually do like this palette. I need to reach for it a bit more. But I say that about all my palettes. And now the only other eyeshadow product I have to test is a Colourpop Super Shock Shadow in the shade Frog. It's kind of like this pinky, it is just a straight up light pink. It's like a baby pink. It's got a bit of colourful reflex in there. It does have quite a unique reflect to it. It almost has reflex of pink, yellow and blue, which I quite like. It's not really going to go with this eye look, but just for the sake of it, I'm just going to pat a little bit just on the centre of each eyelid, just so I can say that I've used it really and that I'm not cheating. However, when I'm talking about this eyeshadow product, it's not my favourite. I thought I was going to get a Super Shock shadow and fall in love with the formula and want to buy every single shade. I haven't. I very rarely reach for this. I have used it since the testing video, but not that often, and it's just not something I really reach for. And I don't always reach for single eyeshadows anyway, but I have ones that I reach for more, and this one just isn't it. It looks nice and it's nice enough, but I didn't fall in love with it. Would I repurchase it? Probably not this one, but I feel like I would repurchase a Super Shock shadow just in a different shade and see if I prefer that a little bit more. Now, let's move on to base. And like I said, we've got a mix of Rimmel and Colourpop. For primer, we've got the Rimmel Lasting Finish Primer, Day Proof Primer, Skin Perfecting. It's the red one. I don't know what the other ones do, but I have the red one. It is quite a nice primer. Honestly, it just feels like a moisturiser. It doesn't feel like much on my skin. It's not particularly tacky. It has a little bit of a tack to it. I don't reach for this primer that often at all, just because, like I said, I don't really notice it doing much to my skin. But it's fine. I'd have nothing against it. If I lost it out of my collection, I probably wouldn't repurchase it, just because I have primers that I much prefer over it, that I really notice it doing something. But it does feel quite nice on the skin. It does have a little bit of a scent to it, but honestly it's more just that like generic cosmetic scent. It's nothing flowery or anything like that. But yeah, it feels nice. It's dried into my skin quite nicely. I don't know if it has SPF in it. If it does, that boosts it up in my opinion, but I don't think it does. Yeah, it's fine. Let me see what it says it's meant to do. Extends wear of foundation, don't know. Skin perfecting. We'll see when I've got foundation on. Ultra lightweight formula helps to minimise the appearance of pores and even skin tone while providing endless comfort. Can be worn alone and also under or over makeup for extended wear. Nobody's putting primer on top of their makeup, I hope. In terms of skin perfecting, my skin does feel quite soft now, but other than that, not really much to talk about. Let's move on to foundation and see if I can notice a difference there. I have two. We'll start with the one I'm not going to wear. This is the Colourpop Face Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturiser in the shade Fair 4N. This is a really bad shade for me. I'm going to put some of it on the back of my hand. The way that comes out proves the fact that I haven't used it in a year. So I put some on the back of my hand. It's very thin, so you can see it's already starting to drip down my hand. But that's the shade of it. It's you can't really tell on camera, but it's very peachy. I didn't really like the finish of it or the way it sat on my skin or anything like that. So I definitely would not repurchase this. In fact, I'm going to be filming my declutters hopefully this week. This is going. Just a sneak preview for you. I'm not keeping it. I really don't like it. The Rimmel Lasting Finish Full Coverage 25 Hour Foundation in the shade 01. 1 Pearl, 001 Pearl. I thought I didn't like this. I'm going to put it on and I'll talk about it over the top. But I have been wearing this a bit more recently and that has changed my opinion. Like I said, I haven't worn this foundation loads in the past year. However, I have worn it recently and here's the thing, I don't think it looks the absolute best on my skin. I don't think it's the best foundation in terms of how it looks when it first goes on. However, I have found it does last really well on my skin. It does last for pretty much a full day because I have worn it to work and I typically for work leave the house at 8 AM and probably get back at like 6 PM. It lasts pretty well considering it's a foundation, and foundations, as much as they say they're going to last all day, most of them don't. In terms of the shade, when it goes on it looks really yellow, but then I feel like as you blend it out it does turn a little bit more neutral. I don't think it oxidizes. I haven't ever noticed it oxidizing. I think it's fine. It's lightweight, you can't feel it on your skin. It's not full coverage in my opinion. I have like spots and like scars from spots on my face. You can definitely still see them. Thankfully that sort of stuff doesn't bother me too much. I don't really care for covering it up all the time. If I wanted a full coverage foundation, this wouldn't be the one that I reach for. But overall, I think it looks fine. One thing I do notice is that when I put it on, and this is regardless of what primer I use with it, sometimes it sort of balls up a little bit, which I'm not a fan of. Anyway, would I repurchase this foundation? No, but I would try another one from Rimmel. They have quite a few foundations. I've tried their one with the orange lid. I don't like that. I tried it years and years and years ago and it was always really orange. So I don't think I tried that one, but they do one with a blue lid, so maybe I'd prefer that. But I have nothing against this. I do use it. I will continue to use it. It's just not one of my favourite foundations. Also, I think when it comes to would I repurchase this product, my mindset towards buying makeup has changed a little bit. I'm not so gung-ho for just buying absolutely everything. So that's why I might be being a little bit more harsh now than I was last year in these videos. Concealer. We have two. First of all, this is the Rimmel Multitasker Concealer in the shade 01 Porcelain. If you've watched any of my videos, pretty much, you'll know that this is my favourite concealer. I absolutely love it. I use it every single day for work. Even if I change my foundation or mix up my base a little bit, I'm probably still going to use this. It's very rare I reach for something else. It's very thin, very lightweight, looks good under the eyes. It does crease, but that's because I have creases under my eyes. It's fine. But it's very lightweight, very hydrating, feels very nice, absolutely love it. And for that reason, I'm actually not going to use it in today's video. I would repurchase this. I'm going to go and repurchase another one of this anyway, because it's my favourite and I'm probably going to run out of it at some point. So I would definitely repurchase that. But in today's video, I'm going to use the Colourpop one. This is the Colourpop No Filter Concealer, and I'm going to shake it up because I feel like it's separated a little bit. But I've shook it up and it should be fine. This is in the shade Fair 02. It is very pale. It's almost white, not quite, but very close. Compared to the Rimmel formula, this is very dry. It's not as dry as I remember it being, but it just doesn't look quite as nice under my eyes. I do think it looks nice on the rest of my face, like on my chin, on my forehead, on my nose. I think it looks absolutely fine. It does a really good job of brightening just because of how pale it is, and because of how neutral it is, it does a really good job too. But it's not stark contrast between the rest of my face, which I quite like. Again, I feel like if I didn't have my Rimmel one, this would be one I reach for a lot more, but because I love the Rimmel one so much, I just reach for that. But it does look nice. It's already creasing under my eyes a little bit. I will say the Rimmel one doesn't crease quite that quickly, but that'll be because it's such a liquid formula. And this one, although it is still a liquid formula, it's not quite as creamy. But I do think it works quite nicely. It has good coverage. I can't really use it on my spots or anything like that because it's so bright. But overall, I do think it's a nice concealer. Would I repurchase it is a good question. Yes, I think is the answer. I think realistically, if I lost all of my concealers, I would repurchase the Rimmel one and probably just live with that for a little bit. But if I was to be rebuilding my collection, I would repurchase this one because I do think it's a good one to have. Now let's do powder. I do technically have a Super Shock Cheek Blush, but I think this can go on top of powder, so I'm just going to powder my face first. I didn't test a powder this time last year, so I'm just going to go in with any random one that I have on hand. Now time for blush, and again, I have two, one from Colourpop, one from Rimmel. Let's talk about the Colourpop one while I put it on, and then I will use the Rimmel one as well over the top, because I don't think either of them particularly match this eye look, so we might as well just use both. Well, that's not good. I just unscrewed it and it's completely detached from the packaging. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Oh wait, there we go, it has popped out. Great. Well, that's already something that's not good. Ignoring the packaging and how much of a fail that was, this shade is not perfect, and I think I remember saying this in my testing video. On the Colourpop website, it's very hard to judge what shade things are. Like, I thought I was getting a completely different shade of this, and I'm pretty sure I had the same issue with a couple of the lip products I had. But overall, I think this does work well. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit concerned that this is completely out of date and I've just put it on my skin, but it's fine because I'm gonna wash it off after this video. Yeah, I think it's fine. My friend also had one of these Super Shock cheek things, and she really liked it. So they are decent quality, they do work well. I will say I've had this for a year now. It still works fine. I think it still looks nice. Just, yeah, the shade isn't perfect, particularly for this eye look. I kind of look like a clown, but that's okay. Would I repurchase this? Probably not this one. This is the shade Growth Flirt, in case you were interested. But I would pick a different shade, but I will still order another one if I lost all my makeup. I don't know if I'm ever going to do another Colourpop order. I say that, of course, I'm going to do one at some point. Not anytime soon, I don't think. But when I do, I'll test another shade. Now for the Rimmel blush, we have the Maxi powder blush in the shade Third Base. It's kind of a peachy shade. This might go a bit better with the eyes, but let's put a little bit of this on. I've put a little bit of that on top. My main criticism with this blush is that it's not very pigmented. Like, I tried to bring it further in on my forehead and like further in on my cheeks just so you could see it without the other shade underneath, but I don't think it's that pigmented. I kind of look a little bit ridiculous because that is such a bright blush, the two of them mixed together, but that's fine. Yeah, I do like this blush. I think it's fine. It's not my favourite. Would I repurchase it? Probably not, because I have so many other blushes that I prefer. Really good drugstore ones, by the way, the MUA ones, in case you didn't know. Let's move on to bronzer. Again, one from Rimmel, one from Colourpop. I don't know which one I'm going to use today, so I'll use the Rimmel one. Maybe I'll use both. I'll use the Rimmel one on one side and the Colourpop one on another, because like I said, I'm taking it off after this. It doesn't matter if they don't match. So let's start with the Rimmel one. This is the natural bronzer in the shade 01 Sunlight. It's a pretty fine shade, like, it's nice enough. So the Rimmel bronzer I've put on the right side of my face. I think it'll be the left side for you, but it's my right side. It is very nice. It is very natural, as the name suggests, natural bronzer. It's not too orange, which I find with so many bronzers they're just too orange. This is kind of like a neutrally shade, which works so much better for my skin type and my skin tone. It's natural. You can't really put loads of it on. You don't have to worry about putting on too much and it looking dreadful. It blends really nicely. Actually, why don't I use this bronzer more often? It's really actually quite nice. Would I repurchase this after today? Yeah, probably. I should really try and use it a little bit more. Now let's try the Colourpop one. This is the Colourpop Pressed Powder Blush. I know it says blush, but it's definitely a bronzer, in the shade Jet Set. And it looks like this. It does have a little bit of a shimmer to it. I think the Colourpop one is a little bit more orange than the Rimmel one. I think that's most noticeable on my nose, because obviously I've got one on one side and one on the other. So I have just put a little bit of the Colourpop one on both sides just to even it up a little bit. In terms of the shimmer, you can't really tell. I didn't think you would be able to. I think on my forehead you can kind of tell a little bit that the Colourpop one is a little bit more orange. But other than that, I think they both work fine. I prefer the Rimmel one if I'm being completely honest. I just do, because it looks a lot more natural. But the Colourpop one is fine too, and I'm pretty sure both are pretty cheap, to be fair, so they both work absolutely fine. Would I repurchase the Colourpop one? Probably not, but again, it's just because I don't care about bronzer. I have bronzers I really like, and they tend to be more of the like neutrally toned that the Rimmel one is, as opposed to a bit more orangey. Like you can see here, it's definitely a bit more orange. Yeah, not my favourite, but it's not a bad product. I would continue using it, so that's fine. Highlighter, I did test a Rimmel one. It was, I can't remember what it's called, but it was too dark for me, and I immediately decluttered it pretty much and gave it to my friend. But for the Colourpop one, we have another Super Shock Cheek product. This is called Over the Moon. I love this highlighter, but I don't use it very often because I don't know how well you can see, but it's got like a pink, blue, purple reflect, which isn't my everyday go-to, but it is stunning. I absolutely love this product. In a heartbeat, I would repurchase it before we even put it on my face, but let's put it on my face and chat about it. I adore this product. Like I said, it's not my everyday because it doesn't really work for everyday. It's also quite glittery, like on my face it looks like glitter particles. Doesn't bother me, because I know a lot of people don't like glittery highlights. I don't love them for every day, but I do use them for, like, you know, events, parties, nights out, festivals. So I do have a use for products like this. I will say it has taken off the product on my nose a little bit, but I think that's just because I went in with my brush a little bit too hard and I should have just been a bit more gentle. But I do love this. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's absolutely fine, and I don't wear it every day, but when I wear it, I love it. And I'm definitely taking this to a festival this year because I do have one I'm going to, and I will be wearing this because I absolutely love it. What I'm going to do now is just pull the same matte shades along my lower lash line just to finish up the eyes, and then we will do brows, mascara and lips. So I just pulled the exact same matte shades along my lower lash line, and I also put the lightest shimmer shade, which is called Just a Splash, in my inner corner. I actually really like this eye look. I love bluey green eyeshadows on me. I just think they look really nice, and I don't get to do them very often, so this is a win. Now let's do brows next. I only have one brow product to test, and it is the Rimmel Brow Pro Micro Ultrafine Precision Pencil in Blonde. And honestly, I don't really reach for this that often. Not for any particular reason, just because I have the brow pencils that I like and I just don't reach for it. I'm just going to quickly comb through my brows with a spoolie. I do normally like to use a tinted brow gel on my brows, but because I don't have one from last year that I tested, I'm not going to. So we're just going to stick with the brow pencil. Those brows will do. I don't think this is a bad pencil at all. I will say, compared to some of the other pencils I do have to draw on a little bit harder. It's not quite as glidable, it's not quite as pigmented. That could be because it's the shade Blonde. Normally my brow pencils are like mid-brown, ash brown, some sort of brown, even though my hair is blonde. That actually works really nicely. I'm pleasantly impressed. I might have to start using it a little bit more. Would I repurchase it? Yeah, probably. I do have brow pencils that I prefer. Again, the MUA one is my favourite, and I'm pretty sure that's probably cheaper than this one as well. But yeah, I quite liked it. I would use it again. I would probably repurchase it if I needed a brow pencil. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now, for mascara, yeah, mascara, because I was just looking up here to see if I have a setting spray. I don't think I do. So mascara, I didn't test a Colourpop one, and technically I didn't test a Rimmel one. I used this one in my Rimmel video, which is the Rimmel Wonderful mascara with argan oil, and it's the waterproof version. I always have one waterproof mascara in use at a time, and basically what I normally do is put on a normal mascara and then put a waterproof one on top. I just find it helps my mascara last longer throughout the day, particularly in work and things like that. When it's a long day, it stops it transferring to my lower lash line quite as early. But I never normally wear this by itself. I'm pretty sure the only time I've done it was in the testing video, so we're going to do it again today and just chat about the mascara. Honestly, by itself, I don't think this mascara does much, other than get all over my eyelid apparently. I don't think it's a great mascara by itself. It has obviously made my eyelashes black. It's not really lengthened them, it's not really given them curl. Honestly, it's just made them black. Hasn't given them any like volume or anything like that. But that's fine because like I said, it's not what I use it for. I literally just use it as a coat of waterproof mascara on top of a regular mascara. And actually for that reason, it's better that it doesn't do anything, because I use the regular mascara because I like what that one does to my lashes. I wouldn't want it to then be changed by putting a waterproof mascara on top. So it's actually pretty good that it doesn't really do anything for what I use it for. If you were looking for a waterproof mascara to wear by itself and do something to your lashes, this isn't it. But for me, it's fine. Hope that makes sense. Now for lip products, we have 4. We'll start with the Colourpop ones because I don't think I'm going to use them. I think I'm going to wear this one, which isn't really going to go with the eyes. I might use the lipstick. I don't know, let's just talk about them. First of all, the Luxe Lip Oil. This is in the shade Truth Bomb. Now, my friend did a Colourpop order with me this time last year. And she was then, this looks disgusting. Yeah. She was then looking at her lip products and she said they'd all sort of started going weird and looking weird. And honestly, this one does too. So I'm not going to put it on my lips. I know that a lot of products say, you know, only have them open for however long. I would say a lip product should last at least a year. She sent me this message like a month or so ago, so they didn't last a year. And honestly, that's a bit disappointing. But yeah, this is disgusting and there's not a hope in hell that I'm putting it on my lips. So yeah. I personally didn't like the lip oils. I had 2, I gave one to a friend because I didn't like it. My friend had the one that I gave her and then another one. She preferred the other one because it had some glitter in it and she really liked that, but I didn't like these ones. Then we have the Luxe Velvet Liquid Lipstick in the shade Can You Even? Again, this product I expected to be a different colour. And I don't have much hope for this. It actually looks fine and it smells fine, and I can't, it's like slightly separated in the tube a little bit. So again, I'm not going to put it on my lips, but I will put it on the back of my hand because that seems safe. That's the shade. I was expecting a cool toned brown. That's not cool toned in my opinion. Or not cool toned enough. But yeah, I'm not going to put that on my lips just because it looks a bit different in the tube. Would I repurchase either of those? No, I wouldn't repurchase the lip oil because I'm not a fan of lip oils. As for liquid lipstick, it wasn't my favourite anyway. It felt fine, but it didn't last very well from what I remember. Then we have a lippy stick in the shade Who Run This, and from what I remember, this was my favourite of the 3 products. But it does not match the packaging. That is a red lipstick in brown packaging. It's a nice enough form, it still actually feels really nice on my hand. Yeah, I would repurchase this in a different shade, not the same shade. That's my thoughts on that. And then I guess I'm going to have to go with this one because I feel like this one has the most hope of not being out of date, even though it probably is as well. So this is the Rimmel Stay Matte Liquid Lip Colour in the shade 820 Heartbeat. It looks like this. I don't know if it's going to go with the eyes. In fact, I don't think it will, to be completely honest. It's sort of like a purpley pink shade. Just that one there. Probably not going to go with the eyes, but it's my best option. That's actually a really nice lip colour and I never wear it. And I will tell you why, because I know why I never wear it. It doesn't last very well on your lips and it's not very comfortable. Like, it feels really dry and then it just sort of like peels off. It looks nice when you put it on. Great for a picture or for a video, not great for everyday wear. It does have a scent to it. I can't quite put my finger on it, maybe like marzipan or something like that. But the lip colour is lovely and I've actually bought an MUA liquid lipstick to see if it sort of matches this colour so I can wear that instead. Yeah, the formula is not my favourite. And I remember having the exact same issue last year. The doe foot doesn't give you quite as precise a line as I would like. So it's not the best lip application I've ever done, which is fine. So yeah, but I do really like the colour. That's such a shame. I think the colour is really nice. Maybe not with the eyes, but I do really like the colour. Anyway, let's do final thoughts. I will zoom you out and take my headband off and we'll do final thoughts. See you in a moment. Final thoughts. So we've been through a lot of products in today's video, and I have kept up with would I repurchase it, so I feel like I don't need to do that right at the end. I feel like I didn't do the lip. I wouldn't repurchase this lip, but I will look for it in a different formula with the same colour. Overall, I'm not mad at how I look. I think I look fine. I will say I don't think the eyes and the lips match, and I think the blush is a bit too much, but other than that, absolutely fine. I feel like this was a relatively negative video, and again, like I said about halfway through, part of that is just the change in my own spending habits. I feel like if I filmed this time last year, I would have said I'd repurchase a lot more products, but I just am not in a buying makeup frenzy anymore, and I know I don't need to. Overall, best products are definitely the Rimmel. I know I didn't use it in this video, but this is my favourite, the Rimmel Multitasker Concealer. Absolutely love it. The High Tide eyeshadow palette, love, wish I had more excuses to use it. The highlighter, love, wish I had more excuses to use it. What else? The natural bronzer, I'm going to start using that a bit more, the Rimmel one. I'm going to use it a bit more because I actually do think it looks quite nice. Overall, I think I look fine. Yeah, I'm going to stop rambling now. Let me know what you think of the products. Let me know if you have any of them, if you've tried any of them. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. But other than that, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I put up one video a week and it's always makeup content. So if that sounds like your type of thing, then this is the place for you. I've completely mind blanked on the rest of my outro. My next video will hopefully be the start of my declutters. If not, I'm sorry, but hopefully it will be. I still need to figure out how I'm going to set it up and film it. But other than that, I'll let you go. Have a great day and amazing week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.